say if you're generous, everything will fall into place. But if you disobey, it'll move apart. See, that got me thinking, hey, it's a really great indication for you to start to assimilate, eliminating the few remarks regarding innovation, allowing you to pick a place and put you in charge. But if you were smart, you'd see we're not thinking straight. Because either way, you're swimming with the pool of sharks, given that you're true to heart. So when you're put in a body cast, they're not giving you a movie part. When you see minorities being mistreated, you would think it's because of racism. But you also have to take into consideration both regions' way of thinking. For example, in the Middle East, you can do anything you want to get away with it. You can rob houses, mace women, knock out kids, rape children, and by the time that they arrive on the scene and the cops found a trace in them, the main victim would have bought out a plane ticket and made visits to Moscow, Great Britain. But in the States, it's way different. See, if you commit a crime, you better make sure that you've got out to a safe distance. Because if you're not 100 meters behind the scene of the crime by the time that the clock's down to 8 minutes, you'll either be shot down like clay pigeons or be locked down in state prison without a case pending. It's ironic how it takes wisdom to realize that our brain's missing. It's like instead of shape-shifting into a better nation, we're lane-switching, avoiding obstacles in order to stay driven. So how can you really say that the earth is cured of racism when we're a slave in it, and authorities with a pale pigment have the upper hand in this plague system? If you don't believe me, pay a visit to a teenager who reached the age limit where their mission is to collect every obey fitted and remain hidden from the outside world, cooped up in one place like they're serving a jail sentence. Walk in the room. As soon as you make your way in it, the first thing you'll notice is every square inches of wall are covered with the rare vintage of Ray Simmons or a framed image of Drake in it. Encouraging negativity with their fame in hopes to making change with it leads me to believe that they didn't deserve this great privilege. It's hard to bear with it. We should be concerned about those with less than a great income being forced to pay interest. But it just goes to show you that a faint vision makes it hard for us to see that when the stakes risen, our main instinct is to be worried about how many Abe Lincolns can fit in the pocket of Blake Griffin. It's too late to find a cure and guide a hurt nation. But it could have been avoided if we were inside the first stages and had the slightest urge to try and birth changes. If they had the same resources and money, the kind that you're making, then they might convert every designer person to a life alert bracelet. Their price or worth is determined by the time they're birthed in it, because the life is cursed to either work inside of bird cages or wind up confined on worn slave ships to islands mining earth designed to earn payslips. The children get sniped on curbs until their face slides on burnt pavement, while their mothers strive to work in a pile of dirt as if they're on a Heisenberg day shift. Plus, what they all eat for lunch is worse than a Sharkeisha punch. I mean, so what's happening there should be considered an onslaught at best, especially when monarchs chop off their heads like they watch Walking Dead. Which makes proper sense, because when they grab a machete and saw off their legs, its victims look like they're playing hopscotch the way they start to walk zombie steps. It's not common sense, though. We live every day like a Hallmark event. We may talk about it non-stop to vent, but we tend to secure our own comfort zone like a watchdog instead. There's no generosity when they see you crawl on cement and stomp on your chest, even though the force of the Heartstopper a lot stronger than Paul Walker's death. Hold up, that's not disrespect. I just showed you how easy it is to get a reaction, and all the media does is bombard us every time we log on the net with different images of the aftermath of Paul's vehicle and how the car parts were bent in different directions, like how a crosswalk is read. But what I'm saying is, if the same exposure was given to those who got robbed and left, then maybe society won't roll backs like Walmart after a product is not brought as sent. Recognize we'll sever ties if situations like the Holocaust start to spread till genocide is kept alive, then we'll see where the thought process led. But then again, it's not like we really care, we laugh at it. I love Toronto, but we need to be a bit aware about the things they share, look back at it. To be crystal clear, it appears we can't fathom the different spheres that interfere with the land's famine. For instance, we haven't been aware that panhandling on the city square makes you more income than opening a business there for MacAdam. If we were to bring it to the surface, the government wouldn't think it's fair. I'm giving prayers that that happens, because once it does, the public will stay still and stare at the different layers that are handcrafted in the system will try to protest, and the millionaires living there would ransack it. We should be grabbing a brigadier who's a captain of privateers and backslap him. But instead we live in fear, thinking it's a bit severe to stand past them. Leap over the norm instead of keeping our distance near like jackrabbits, because the corruption won't disappear as long as we witness the mischief that fills the air and backpack it. We're switching gears to advance it. We've given care to bad habits, but it's hard not to when our city mayor's a crack addict. I really didn't want to freestyle tonight, but I figured it's mandatory. There's no segregation when they group you in the same category. They pull out the army tanks, it won't be no happy story until the bloodstains make the whole outfit black like the guy who rapped before me. Look. Good? A lot more. I don't care if I got points. I don't care if I win. I'm just trying to rap.
Keep going.
Back to Rockford. It's funny because the same people who voted for the man are making accusations, saying he hasn't gave the same rights to blacks and Asians and is only favored white like the crack is blazing. But I stand mistaken, because Rockford can't be racist, especially when he's half Jamaican. I mean... The news caught on it quick, as if they had a real concern of what crack cocaine did. But it's all to distract you from the fact he's a master of tax evasion. See, while Rockford is inspiring others from the path he's paving, people back home have no path they can navigate with and had to bear with watching their parents get shot without a ransom statement. It's nothing. They pull out the magnum, race it into the face of someone who hasn't ate or drank for ages, but they can't escape it because the guilt inside them grows at a faster rate than the passing tailwind. So while they're killing people, they're only dying themselves like a gang-related cancer patient. I mean, they seem like nothing's wrong when the cameras face them, but it's all an act to sell the product by any means like an angry salesman. See, while people back home are complaining about how half the nation is damned and plagued with a disease that has no standard vaccination, we complain about how our back is aching because we had a bad vacation to the Appalachians. I mean, you shouldn't be expecting leeway when they haven't gave it, because if you run straight in it with unpaid business, you'll get a one-way ticket like a travel agent. I mean, they don't have the slightest chance or faith when they're in a constant battle with a batch of masons who pray for the hand of Satan to bash their face in on a Cassius Clay tip. I mean... Makes no...